Hey, welcome back to another episode of Lyric Breakdown with me, David Bindon. Now today the song we're going to be looking at will be Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. It's an absolute classic. Now for many people this is the ultimate patriotic, proud to be American song. However, it's not. But David, you might ask, how can it not be? The chorus is Born in the USA. How is that not patriotic? Well, the key is in the verses, and that's where we're going to look first. Born down in a dead man's town. First kick I took was when I hit the ground. Feel like a dog that's been beat too much, till you spend half your life just covering up. Born in the USA. Born in the USA. Born. So in the first verse he says, born down in a dead man's town. So in a dead man's town, there's no hope there and there's no life. And he says, the first kick I took was when I hit the ground. The moment he was even born, life was bad. Then he goes on to say, just like a dog that's been beat too much, you spend half your life just covering up. So he's likening the character not even to a human, to an animal. And we all know what it looks like when a dog is mistreated. It's pretty tragic. So he's saying that, and then because of that, he just spends his whole life covering up, pretending everything's okay. Like, I'm not hurt, I'm fine, wearing a mask. So he's already painting quite a vivid picture of struggle. Then he jumps straight from that to the chorus, which is Born in the USA. Now, why does he do that? He actually said himself he likes the chorus of his songs to be where the hope is, where the hope lies, and the verses to tell the struggle, to tell the dark stories. So this is exactly what this song does. The verse describes all the crap, and the chorus describes the hope, what ought to be true in the situation. Right, let's go ahead and look at verse 2. Got in a little hometown jam, so they put a rifle in my hand, sent me off to a foreign land to go and kill the yellow man. Born in the USA. So in the first line of verse 2 he says, got in a little hometown jam. What that means is he got in a bit of trouble with the law in his hometown. Then he goes on to write, so they put a rifle in my hand. Now, what he's actually referring to is the Vietnam War, when the Americans were fighting the Viet Cong. And if someone broke the law, they would be given two options. One, they could simply go to prison, to the penitentiary. Two, they could go to war and fight. And so a lot of men decided, well, okay, I'll do that. So that's exactly what this is referring to. And he says, sent me off to a foreign land to go and kill the yellow man. Now, this is a really derogative way of talking about the Vietnamese. But I think he actually used it to share a message that there was a view of them. And then bang, straight after that, into the chorus again. Born in the USA, born in the USA. Right, let's take a look at verse 3. Come back home to the refinery. Our man says, son, if it was up to me, when I see my VA man, he says, son, don't you understand? Right, so in the first line of verse 3, he says, come back to the refinery. Hiring man says, son, if it was up to me. So essentially, he's come home from war and he's looking for work. And he goes to the refinery and the man says, son, if it was up to me. Essentially saying, there's no work for you. Sorry. And this sadly was a case for so many of the veterans that came home from war. There just wasn't enough work for them. Then he says, went down to see my VA man. He said, son, don't you understand? So the VA was the Veterans Administration, or the Veterans Affairs. Now, they were set up to help veterans post-war, but truth be told, they didn't actually do a very good job of helping the veterans, sadly. And so he's captured this with the VA man saying, son, don't you understand? There's little we can actually do to help you. This is my interpretation of this. If you have a different one of that line particularly, then I would love to hear it. Right, let's go and check out verse 4. I had a brother I kiss on, fighting off the Viet Cong. They're still there, he's all gone. He says, I had a brother in Quezon fighting off the Viet Cong. They're still there. He's all gone. What he's actually alluding to is, what was the point in us fighting? They're still there. But my brother, my friends, they're all gone. So 3 million people actually died in Vietnam. Some of them obviously Viet Cong. 58,000 of them were Americans. And many of them were civilians, sadly. He had a woman he loved in Saigon. I got a picture of him in her arms now. And then he says, he had a woman in Saigon. I got a picture of him in her arms now. So bringing it back to the real human element, that this was a real person that he lost. He has a picture of him with someone he loved. So it's quite deep, and he's bringing a real human element to the lyrics. Let's take a look at verse 5. Down in the shadow of the penitentiary, out by the gas fires of the refinery, I'm 10 years burning down the road, nowhere to run, ain't got nowhere to go, born in the USA. So it says, down in the shadow of the penitentiary. This literally just means he's ended up in prison, which sadly many of the veterans ended up there. Out by the gas fires of the refinery. I'm 10 years burning down the road. Nowhere to run. Ain't got nowhere to go. So this character that he's portraying, he's just describing the hopelessness, the lack of direction and purpose. So I like how he said the gas fires of the refinery and then burning down the road, like linking those two. But then say nowhere to run. Ain't got nowhere to go. And then straight after that, bang, back into the chorus. Born in the USA, born in the USA. It's quite a tragic song, to be honest. But I think it's key that you know this, because it's a bit of history. And also, he's speaking up for people who sometimes don't have a voice. And I think that's huge when artists can do that. Artists have such a platform that they can use to talk about the things that matter. And be the voice for the voiceless. And share the stories which otherwise won't get heard. So I think that's amazing he did that. Hopefully you've enjoyed me unpacking Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen, and now you have a better understanding of the song and its meaning. And don't forget, you can hire me as a songwriter, lyricist and vocalist. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to get in contact. You can follow the links below. Alright guys, stay cool, stay creative.